Good day, everyone. My name is Coach David Mfawa. I am the tutor for web development, and today we'll be looking at HTML multimedia, HTML images. So this is a continuation from our previous class, which was HTML multimedia, audio and video. So today we'll be looking at the image aspect of multimedia, of HTML multimedia. Why images matter. Images make websites more engaging and help communicate ideas. In HTML, we use the img or image tag to add images to web pages. The img tag is used to embed an image in an HTML page. It's an empty tag, meaning it has no closing tag. So if you look at it, you see closing tags are depicted with the opening angular brackets, the / symbol, the name of the tag, and the closing angular brackets. But for the image tag, it only has the opening and the source and alt attributes inside the opening tag, and it doesn't have a corresponding closing tag. All right. So essential attributes for the img element tag. The first attribute is the src attribute. src stands for source. It specifies the path to the image file. The same thing with the src attribute for audio elements and video elements. The next attribute is the alt attribute. It provides alternative text for screen readers and when images can't be displayed. So the function of these alt attributes is to explain what was supposed to be in place, what was supposed to be there when your image isn't displayed on your web page or your browser. And it also helps when you're using a screen reader. Once you get to, when you're using a screen reader, you read through the text on the web page or on the screen. But when it gets to a picture, what it reads out is the text you have saved in the alt attributes. Like, for example, if you look at the syntax, the image, you see the image tag, the source attributes, dog.jpg, and in the alt attributes, you have happy golden retriever playing in park. So if you're using a screen reader, since it can't tell you what is seen on the image itself, it will tell you what the developer has added to the alt attributes. So once you're using a screen reader and it reaches the image, it reads out happy golden retriever playing in park. All right. So the next attribute is the width and height attributes. They are used to set the dimensions of the image in pixels, the same as the width and height attributes for the video element. All right, let's look at practical example. That so the img tag. First, you have to move a picture into your folder. Sure. Right. This is the picture that I moved into my folder. Let's add this picture to the web page now. Right. So since I saved it to the root to the root folder to my root folder, all I have to do is /. It brings out the list of files in this folder, and I select the image or Haven. All right, so now on the web page, it will display its full size. So you have to scroll down. You have to use the scroll bars to see the full image. So this is where the width and height attributes come in. But let's start with the alt attributes. So since it is a picture of nature, the alt attribute I would write, let me write nature. So I have added the alternative text for the picture if it is not displayed properly. So let's remove the format type and see. All right. So if you look at the web page now, you see that the alt text is what is displayed since the picture hasn't been properly embedded into the web page. It displays what is written in this alt attribute. So if I change it to nature, okay, picture of nature, you see it displays the text I put in the alt attributes. Or if I were to add back the, where to properly embed the picture, the alt text disappears since the picture is properly displayed. All right, so that is it for the source attributes and the alt attributes. So now moving on to, okay, let's go back to this. The source attributes the required source attribute specifies the path or URL to the image. So the broken link icon and the alt text are shown if the browser cannot find the image, which is this. This is the broken link icon, and the alt text, since the picture cannot be displayed by the browser. So I did that back. The alt attributes. The required alt attributes provides an alternate text for an image if the user, for some reason, cannot view it because of slow connection, an error in the SRC attributes, or if the user uses a screen reader. The value of the alt attributes should describe the image. For example, for an image chania.jpg, the alt text is flowers in Chania. So for this image, definitely what will be displayed in the image are flowers, right? So the width and height attributes. You can use the width and height attributes to specify the width and height of an image. This is an example here. Alternatively, sorry, this is supposed to be, this is an error, sorry. The width and height attributes always define the width and height of the image in pixels. All right, so let's add the width and height attribute to this image. Let's give it a width of 200 or 300 and height of also 300. All right, let's change this one. So as you can see in our web page, we have resized the picture to have a width of 300 pixels and a height of 300 pixels. Alternatively, you can use, instead of using the width and height attributes, you can use the style attributes. So if I, using these style attributes, you are no longer editing with purely HTML. This style attributes is a CSS attribute. So using the style attributes, you call the width attribute for it 300. And using the style attributes, you must add the measuring size you want, the measuring standard you want to use. So we're using pixels here and height 300 pixels as well. All right. So this use of this style attributes is also called inline styling. Styling that is done in the tag of an element. All right, so as we're saying, the IMG tag doesn't, the IMG element doesn't have a closing tag. It is just, you open it with the angular brackets, the tag name, the attributes, and then we close it with the closing angular brackets. You can as well can as well close the tag with a / before the end, before the right angular brackets. Just to show you another way you can display tags that have no closing tags, elements that have no closing tags, sorry. All right. All right, there are different types of image formats. The commonly used formats are JPEG, JPEG, Joint Photographic Expert Group Image. It's best for photographs. PNG, Portable Network Graphics, best for graphics with transparency. GIF, Graphics Interchange Format, best for simple animations. And SVG, Scalable Vector Graphics, best for logos and icons. Okay, let's try adding a GIF to our web page. So I'll need another IMG element. Okay, find it first. Where is it? Okay. So this is the GIF I want to add to the web page. Set it to pixelated. All right, let's go. So my / again, I select the GIF, and this is it here. It has been displayed. So like the slide said, GIFs are used for simple animated images. It's for simple animated images. So let's increase the size. Okay, the alternate text first. Let's say coding on computer. All right. So to explain the importance of the alternate text once again, I would move one letter from the source, and you see it had displayed our alternate text because our image itself could not be displayed. All right. Let's increase the size, the width. Let's make it 100. The height as well. So this is it. This is a GIF. We have integrated a GIF, embedded a GIF into our web page. All right, SVG, Scalable Vector Graphics, best for logos and icons, scalable without quality loss. So what this means is that you can increase the size of SVGs without losing any form of quality. It will still remain, the pixels will still be very bright and clear. Unlike the GIF, as we increase the size, you can see it becomes a little more becomes blurry. But for the SVG, which is used for logos, it doesn't blur out. It remains the same. Okay. So let's experiment adding pictures from an online source. I already had a picture here that I wanted to add. So when adding pictures from an online source, you find the picture you want to add, you right click and select copy image address. So once that is done, you come to your image tag here, in your SRC attributes, you paste that image address that you copied and let it load up, and on your sites, the image will be added. Let's size it up so that it's more visible. Yeah. So, all right. So this is an image that has been added from an online source. It is not saved in our folder. So without internet connection, we cannot view this image. And that is where, once again, that is where the alternate text comes in. So let's say man fishing. If I were to disconnect from the internet and reload my web page, I would not be able to view this image since it is being fetched from an online server. So removing one letter from there. So since I can't disconnect my Wi-Fi, let's damage the link a little. All right. So as you can see, in the source elements, the source attribute, sorry, is the most important attribute in the image element, because using a wrong image source in the source attributes will lead to your image not being properly embedded on your website, and it will lead to this broken image icon. All right, so let's add that back. All right, so our image is back. This is an online, this first image is saved in our folder. This is an animated GIF, an animated picture. And this last picture was sourced from an online server. All right, so in best practices in web design, web development, we do not advise that you just add your pictures to your root folder. You have to create a folder named images and save your images in that folder. All right, so if you have noticed something, when I moved the images to our images folder on the web page, it displayed the broken image link. The broken image icon, meaning that our images have not been properly embedded onto the web page. So the reason for this is because we are calling these images from a wrong source. Since the images are now saved in a different folder, we have to reference that folder before we call the name of the picture. So for example, now that we have moved the two images to the images folder, you come to the SRC here, you click on your forward slash, click on a forward slash, it displays all the files and folders in your root folder, which is the summer camp folder. So you click on the images folder and select the image you want. So this image now has been properly embedded onto the web page because you have called it from the folder that it is saved in. So this is properly sourced. And then for the GIF, and there you have it. So to give your website to properly embed your images on your website, you need to cross-check and make sure that the source attributes is getting the image from the right source. So I can't be referencing programming.gif from a folder that it is not in. It doesn't work. So an easier way to get the an easier way to get the path for your images are where you saved your images in your folder, you right click on them and you select copy relative path. So when that happens, you can now come and paste it in your source attributes. Yeah, and it works. So this is normally supposed to be a /. Yeah. So that's that for images. Okay. So you can also use an image as a background image, but that is a CSS attribute. So you call your style tag, your general selector, background image. Now, when using the background image attributes, the background image property in your CSS, you use the URL attributes. Then you can also you can also click on the /. It brings out all the folders and files in your root folder. You select images and the picture you want, the image you want to use. So I'm using this. And let me remove this other one. Let me comment out these other pictures first. So it has applied, using the general selector, it has applied this image. It has used this image as our background image for the whole web page. Let me expand this. As you can see, we can also size background images. So using the CSS property, background size. All right, so from this, using auto, it gives you the default size. Using contain tries its best to put the image in its default resolution and default size in the site. But you can also use numeric values and use 200 pixels. See, but the issue is that it repeats itself. There's another property to tackle that. That's background repeats. Select no repeats. So now you can style this. You can make it bigger and do contain. Let's use cover. All right. So this makes this cover attributes for the background size property, make sure that the image covers the web page either in width or in height. So let's expand this web page again. As you can see, as the web page expands, the image also expands or contracts to fit the web page, the width of the web page. See. Now, using this as a background image, we can also put text on that image. So one text over background. All right, so if you look at our web page, you see that the text has been applied over the picture because the picture is now being used as a background image. Let's style the text so it's more visible. Use the type selector, your curly brackets, and then color property, change it to white. All right. So as you can see, the text has changed color to white while the browser is still using this image as our background. You can also add images on top of your background image. Some comments this. So our images are back. Our images are back. Now, without using this CSS attribute of background image, you cannot add a text over, you cannot write a text over an image. So if I were to remove this CSS, you see that our text cannot be put above, cannot be written above or on the images, even if I were to move it. Yeah. It follows the relative structure of our web page. So in summary, we use the HTML img elements to define an image, the HTML src attributes to define the URL of the image. We use the HTML alt attributes to define an alternate text for an image if it cannot be displayed. And we use the HTML width and height attributes or the CSS width and height attributes to define the size of the image. All right, so I do have a form of take-home assignment. So you have to create a web page about your favorite animal with a heading introducing the animal, at least 3 images of the animal with different sizes for each image, and proper alt text for all images. You can feel free to use images from online servers if you want. You can as well download them and save them to your folder. But the images should be 3 different images with different sizes for each image and proper text, proper alternate text for each image. Thanks for watching. See you next week.